Well, the debate today on immigration so-called reform differs from what was the situation in the 1980s, particularly in 1986, when the Immigration Control and Reform Act was passed at that time. Basically, the difference is we've had 20 years of experience. And as you know, during that 20 years, the situation has gotten worse. So we should have learned that amnesty doesn't work. And unfortunately, in the bill currently before the Senate, that lesson does not seem to have been learned. Well, the first lesson that has to be learned is that amnesty doesn't work. It only encourages more people to come illegally into the United States. Secondly, strong securing of the border, strong enforcement of existing immigration laws is a necessary prerequisite to anything having to do with those illegals that are already here. Thirdly, it's very important that whatever solution is determined by the Congress, it ought to be fair to those people who have legally come into the United States, who have taken the time to stand in line, as it were, to file the necessary papers and to come in legally. To fail to do that is not only unfair and unjust, but again, puts illegals ahead of those who have come in legally. Well, Ronald Reagan was one who always learned from those things that didn't go the way he expected. And so I'm sure he would know and he would appreciate the fact that amnesty didn't work in 1986 and it won't work today. And I'm sure he would take a different tack, one aspect of which I believe would be increasing our enforcement of current laws, doing a better job of securing the border, and then looking for ways in which we could deal with the current problem of those illegal aliens within the United States, which would not be amnesty, which would be fair to those who have entered legally. For example, having them return to their country of origin and then go through a program that hopefully would be less bureaucratic than the one is now for everybody entering the United States, go through that process, and then come back into the United States legally. Well, the idea that a bad bill is better than the current situation is just totally false. The current situation has its problems, to be sure, and they can be cured in many ways just by enforcing laws on the books. So you don't need any new legislation really to go a long ways towards solving the problem. But to have a bad bill, which would actually encourage illegal immigration, as the probationary visa provisions of the current legislation does, a bill that is unfair to those who've come in legally, a bill that would allow in a single state the ability for that state to grant in-state tuition in college to illegals, while it would not be granted to legal people here legally, manifestly unfair. That a bill that would impose a whole very complex employment verification program that would affect every worker in the United States, all of these bad features is certainly much worse than our current situation.
For more information on immigration reform and activity on Capitol Hill, visit heritage.org.